Hi, welcome to the Lone Star Dowsers. I'm Mary Lindsay Wilson, and this is our October 2023 meeting. And I want to thank everybody who has joined us and who will be joining us in the future. And thank you for donating. Those that have been able to donate and contribute. It's I'm so grateful, and your donations are very much appreciated to keep us going. And tonight, I would like to welcome Dr. Jean Logan. Very excited. Dr. Jean is an Earth Ambassador. She's an ordained minister. She has a doctorate in nutritional healing and extensive knowledge in lots of different types of energy healing. She's been a conscious channel for over 25 years, and she receives the language of light in the form of symbols and glyphs that have healing energies and impulses. So you're in for a treat. She's also the author of 4 books, possibly more, and all sorts of wonderful tools for healing. And her books are now in 130 countries. And the profits go to provide services to children in need. She has a group called Holy Ground Farm. And Holy Ground Farm has 58 acres of donated land in the mountains of Western North Carolina that's intended to be the center for care, nurturing, and education for children who've never had a home. So welcome, Dr. Jean.
Thank you, Mary. I'm really delighted to be here. This is a real treat.
Yeah, I know you've got so much amazing information, and I don't know if we have an image that we could show somebody what a glyph looks like, because there might be people that don't know about glyphs.
A glyph is a symbol that has meaning, and I can show you a picture from the book with one of the glyphs. They're drawings. There's in this respect, they are drawings. And here's one for clearing of meridians. That's a large size. And in the book, it has what are called patch pages, where it has 16 of the smaller glyphs. And in this respect of what these are for the healing glyphs, they're simple little drawings on paper. Although later on, toward the end, we've got tattoos now too. It's removable tattoos.
Right, and I think I saw or heard somewhere that for a certain group you printed something on T-shirts, which I think is just kind of ingenious.
Yeah, we played with that a bit, but the glyphs actually worked best about 1.5 to 2 inches right on a chakra. That sends the energy right in. The T-shirts, I'm sure that has some effect, but the best way of getting it into the body, getting that energy from the energy comes from the central sun, and the best way of getting it right into where it needs to be working is when it's on a chakra.
We have somebody asking if they have permission to record. Yes, but we are recording this, so we will send the replay out, and we'll also post it on YouTube eventually under the Lone Star Dowsers YouTube channel. So anyway, yes, you can have access to this because the information is going to be so rich. It's something I'm sure we're all going to want to watch and listen to more than one time.
I need to watch what I say then. YouTube. We don't
want well, speak the truth. Yeah, and try not to edit too much.
Instead of the V word, we just go like that.
Yes, exactly. Well, I think you had a program that you're doing for us tonight, which is about beliefs, right?
Right. And we need to, one of the things we need to do is we need to take back control of our health and healing. I think the last 3 years have shown us the colors of the medical establishment. And so we need to take charge. by alternate healing and being responsible for our healing and letting go of the beliefs that don't serve us. And one of the things Mary and I were speaking about before, is one of the beliefs is that we catch things. We've been trained, we have been indoctrinated. There's no doubt there's a matrix out there, and they have programmed us to buy one of their instructional equipment and set it in our living room. And we are continually seeing advertisements.
Would that, let's see, also be known as a television?
Sometimes, I don't know. It's been so long since I had one that I've right, but it's actually a piece of instruction. It's a piece of equipment that's to program us. And we see all the ads for prescription drugs, and we see people with it's flu season, get your cold medicine here, and a chew, we see it all the time, to believe that we are supposed to get sick. Sickness is not normal. Health is normal.
Exactly. I realized I got a little ahead of myself. I know there's probably a lot of people that have joined us that know you and know, how this came to be. But if you want to do a brief introduction on kind of how, how the glyphs came to you and how you use them, that would probably be really helpful.
Started. Well, I'm going to go all the way back to when I was a kid. I was a timid, very scared little girl. I was scared of my shadow. I was pitifully introverted. And I was so fearful. I mean, fear was my middle name. I think my sister scared me to death with all kinds of stuff. And I think that was maybe the way it was supposed to be, because I had a lot to overcome. I was so fearful that when I finished high school, I was offered a paid-for college education, and I turned it down because I was afraid if I went to college, I would have to speak in front of people. And nothing would give me more fear than public speaking. And
here we are, right?
Yes, grabbed the first man who asked me to marry him because I was afraid nobody else would want me. I mean, it was just really way down there with self-esteem, And so it took a long time. And of course, when you're that neurotic, you attract another neurotic. So you can imagine how that went, but it got me 2 beautiful sons. But little by little, I felt like I was here for a purpose. I can remember driving to work one morning on Interstate 285 in Atlanta, and I thought, dear God, I know I'm here for a reason. I just don't know what it is. And I saw a shooting star, and I thought, well, that's a message, I think. And so after that, I was always seeing shooting stars. But I was a seeker. And one time I was meditating, and I saw like script writing on a blackboard. And I felt like that was telling me that I should try guided writing. So I went ahead and got a notepad, and I went out on the deck, and I just started clearing my mind. Oh, you know how easy that is to clear your mind. And I would write everything that came into my mind. And of course, it was just a couple of pages of scribbling. But after persevering, something was coming through. It says, we are your guides, and we're here to help you. We would tell you about the stars and about plants, and what I did was I practiced that every day. And that's something that's so important to understand. When you want to accomplish something, you need to practice. And these people who are great healers, who can take your headache away with a wave of their hand, they've been practicing a long time. And so I practiced my channeling. And then one day I was standing in the kitchen, and I thought, I wonder if God will talk to me. And then I heard very clearly, well, yes, I'll talk to you. And I forgot my notebook. I ran in the other room and I got a very simple writing like God. And when I say he, I was raised a Catholic. I know God's not a he, it's just a habit. God spoke to me like a third grader. like you and I are one, we are one with all things, and so on. And then said, please understand, you must speak out. This is my biggest fear. You must speak out. You cannot learn if you do not speak out. And if you speak out, others will learn. And so that kind of, I got nudged into going to Toastmasters. And I must have always been a little bit interested in glyphs somehow, because I look at clothes that I bought many years ago, they have glyphs on them. And I thought, so one day I received an email that had a glyph on it. And I got a picture, I've hold it up as best I can. I should have sent this to you earlier so you could, but it looks like a little centipede with a line around it. And it said here that a star glyph to remove parasitic DNA mutation that invites in entities and is an energetic link to fear programming. This glyph restores the DNA. It says, please circulate widely and reproduce freely. That this was, we were altered during the days of Atlantis and Babylonia. Anyway, I thought, well, it says use with integrity. And I thought, well, okay. And so I printed it out and I must have been guided and I taped it to my solar plexus. And I felt a real commotion, like something was jumping around in my liver. And I thought, oh my God, what is going on? And after some time it subsided and I thought, well, I don't know what it was, but I think I had it and I think it's gone. So then I asked my guides, I thought, whoever could give that much power to a drawing on a piece of paper, I can do that. God has given us all the power. We can, we've all got power. And I said, tell me how to do that. And so they gave me instructions on what to do. They said, just decide what you want the glyph to do, and then make a little drawing, and then have a ceremony. And I thought, ceremony, I was a Catholic. I can do that. Candle, prayer, I can do that. And there was a little time of trial and error, things that didn't really do anything. Then one time, shortly, a friend called and she told me that she broke a glass bowl and a piece of glass went deep in her foot and she got it out, but now it was badly infected. It was 2 weeks later and she said it was necrotic tissue that had a foul odor. And I thought, oh my God, and I said, Kathy, would you be willing to do a little research with me? And she said, okay. And I created 2 glyphs, one to kill bacteria and one to speed healing. And I emailed them to her. And the next morning, she said, wow, I think these glyphs are working. She said, the pain is gone, the redness is gone, the swelling is gone, and it was on its way to healing. And I thought, oh, finally, we got some success here. And so I realized that the reason that we have so many problems is because we are carrying so much emotional baggage. We are carrying from not just this lifetime, but we've had hundreds of lifetimes. And so I created a glyph to remove fear. One of my biggest issues were fear and sadness. I was terribly depressed. And so I created the one to remove fear, and I put it on my solar plexus. And I could feel stuff coming out of my breasts and out of my arms. And I thought, this is amazing. And so I went on to create one to remove sadness, to remove heartache, to remove guilt, anger, resentment. I just kept thinking of all the things. I was married to an alcoholic for 20 years because you can believe I got a lot of anger and resentment there. So I just kept everything I could think of that we could be carrying inside of us. And little by little, I felt better and better. And it just time went on and I just felt just better about myself. It wasn't overnight. It came out, it just really seemed to be making a big difference in my life. And as I did this, I was very fortunate enough to be married to a man who was really very computer literate. And he said, Jean, this was not the first husband, this was his second husband. He said, Jean, you've got to get this together. I had little slips of paper and 3x5 cards all over the place. He said, we've got to get it on the computer. And so he started logging all this into the computer that he called the Holy Ground Farm Glyph Gallery. And bless his heart, that was a beginning. If he hadn't done that, I would never have gotten to the first book. But I had people were telling me that, Jean, you need to put that in a book. And I never wanted to write a book. I never dreamed of writing a book. But I kept getting little kicks in here and there and told, yes, you need to put this in a book. And I realized when I started, I didn't know how to love anybody. But as time went by and I was releasing all of this stuff, the love came through. It just came through. I realized I had to help other people because there are so many out there in need of help. And so it took me 3 years to write the first book. And that first one, I had a different cover then. This was the second. This is Unlocking the Power of Glyphs. That was my first book. And in addition to all the glyphs for the emotional healing, I had the glyph to kill bacteria and viruses, and a glyph to detoxify the body. And that detox one is powerful. I tell everybody, when you get it, put it on your brain and get all the heavy metals and chemicals out of your body.
Does it? Do you need to like allow a day to well that stuff process? Clear your schedule when you're using the detox glyph?
For that one, detox for the brain, I tell people to put these are meant to be, you can make copies of those pages of the 16, and you cut one out of the copy, and I tell them to make little wings with a piece of Scotch tape, and then I put it on with hairpins. I don't know what you guys are going to do, but it works with hairpins. And I would just wear it overnight. And I think that works quite rapidly. I know it works fairly rapidly because I had a glyph in one of the other books for Candida. And I know I had a serious case of Candida. And when I put the glyphs between my hand, the energy went up my arms and right up into my brain. I mean, I had it. I didn't know you could get Candida in your brain, but I sure had it. And that Candida glyph is the most powerful thing that you can get for Candida. So going back to then, I had the one book, and I would like to have quit by then, but I kept getting more, and I had, as having fear for so many years, fear makes you sick. I mean, anger makes you sick. All of these emotions, guilt makes you sick. And I had heart problems, and I kept dismissing it. Somebody would say, Gina, they were from psychic, and they says, I'm getting you have a heart problem. And I wanted to just ignore that. But when I was invited on a sweat lodge one time, and my guide said, do not go. Your heart cannot stand it. And I thought, oh my God, my heart can't stand a sweat lodge. And so I wrote a glyph for healing the heart, one for healing the lungs, and I just went on, and I did every organ and gland, and I had a lot of issues that I was working on. And that was the second book, was the Sacred Symbols of Light. And I had a glyph for every organ and gland, and for the eyes. And my husband at the time, he had glaucoma and cataracts. And even though we're not married anymore, he wrote me much later, and he said his glaucoma, it healed both cataracts and glaucoma. And he said the glaucoma never came back. His vision, his pressure was normal.
Wow, so that's fantastic.
It was really, and then there was the one for the heart, and there's a lot of reviews on Amazon, that heart one has been so good, but there was a doctor in Vermont, and he said, each glyph has a programming statement that, and where I tell the glyph what to do. And I'm often get this from source. I will always go back to source to get these, because sometimes I will get a message. I want you to create a glyph that heals some damaged nerve bundles. And I would be given what to say, what it should say. But anyway, the one for the heart, this doctor said, Jean, could you add a statement to the heart glyph? I said, tell me what you want it to be, and I can change it. Even though the books are printed, I can go ahead and change a glyph, and they're all changed retroactively. But he said, you have it where you correct the timing of the heart. And I said, okay, just give me the sentence. And I put it in, and we re-empowered it. And it wasn't long after that there's this woman had an 89-year-old father. They wanted to give him a pacemaker, 89 years old, and that is a terrible operation. I don't know if he could live through that. But anyway, she put the glyph for the heart and the lungs on him. And she said 2 weeks later, they said he didn't need the pacemaker. So that was just really successful. Excuse me,
Wow.
I'm get a little of my kombucha there.
Yeah, and we have a request if you could show the fear glyph, if that's easy.
Yes, and I give away, excuse me, I give away the fear glyph on the website. People can just log on and get a copy of the fear glyph, because fear is such a disabling thing. This is the one, fear.
Oh, kind of, yeah, dark cloud with the kind of lightning bolt. Okay.
Right.
So your website is jeanlogan.com.
Dr. drjeanlogan.com.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat for folks too. Okay, all right. Now I think we got a little history about how you got here. So let's start changing some beliefs.
Yeah, well, though, like I said, that's a big one, that changing the beliefs. And the thing is, it's hard to do because you're in fear. I mean, how often you hear, I'm afraid that I might catch a cold. How often you hear the word afraid? You need to get the word afraid out of your vocabulary. And you can do it a lot easier. It was amazing for me, the fear glyph, even just within the last 3 years. I've been using these glyphs since this was 2004. I started working on these. So I started with that 19 years ago. And so the one for fear, I use again and again. And just about 3 years ago, I have a way of using them now. I take a half a page of the glyphs. And what I tell people to start with is just tape one to your solar plexus. But after you're used to using them, you have to be kind of take your time at first, because you're moving energy. And when you're moving energy, it can make you kind of woozy. It transitions that energy into light. And what fills the void is light coming in. All the glyphs are empowered by the central sun. And so that energy will enter. But after you're used to it, this is how I do it now. I take a half a page and I put them by the side of my bed at night. And there's a time when we wake up in the morning when you're half asleep and half awake. And I call it all channels are opened. And at that moment, there's a real power. These glyphs can just really move. And so I took the one for fear and I put it between my hands. And I felt something coming out of my abdomen and out of my legs. And for the first time in decades, I was free of irritable bowel problems. That was absolutely like a miracle to me, because when you have irritable bowel problems, it just you don't travel, you don't go places, you always need to know where the restroom is. It just really affects your life. But after I can't, I thought so wonderful that to have normal bowel movements that, I think, oh, look at that. Just like you tell a little toddler, look at what you did. So,
Wow. So it was the fear that was
the
able to
fear,
clear up
okay,
the irritable bowel.
digestive problems are emotional problems. People say, oh, well, then I have Crohn's and I'll probably have it all my life. You don't need to have all these digestive problems once you get all the emotional issues out of there. And it takes time. There was a man down in Chile, and he translated the first book into Spanish for us. And he was a channel also, and he asked I think it was the Syrians or was it the Palladians, tell me about these glyphs. And they said, ideally, they should be used 40 times, at least 40 times. And I'm sure he was talking about the emotional healing glyphs. And I tell the people at the Zoom meetings, we are never done with the emotional glyphs because we've had hundreds of lifetimes. And some people say, well, you don't bring that with you. Most of us probably feel we do. I know, we don't know where we burned at the stake or do we light the match, or do we light the fire? So there's a lot of stuff we've been through in past lives. And do we carry any of it yet? Possibly so. Because like I've never liked to go swimming, and I didn't like in the water, and somebody told me I was drowned in a past life. So it's hard to say.
So you would use an emotional glyph to deal with the fear of swimming or water.
Right. Or just, it doesn't, when the glyphs work, the nice thing about them, like when you go to a counselor, sometimes they want to dig into your dark secret past. The glyphs don't care. They just pull out the fear, and wherever it came from, however it got there, the glyphs don't care. And the glyphs have consciousness, and they have intelligence, and they do sometimes really strange things. I'll have people say, well, I'm using a glyph for this, but I could feel it working somewhere else. Well, I think the glyph just decided that's what it needed. And you can use the glyphs for other people with a surrogate. I will use a piece of paper, like with the name of the person, the issue they have, and then I put the glyphs on there. And then I state my intention. I say the intention, and they work as well as your belief in your power of intention. And so other beliefs, we are always.
Well, let me ask this. So you've got these 4 fabulous books full of amazing glyphs. So if somebody wanted to get started, do you think they should dowse to see maybe what the first thing they need?
Well, what I tell people, some people say, well, I can only afford one. Get the one for the emotional healing. The emotions are at the basis of your physical problems. And it's fine if, people say they want to work on a glyph for their physical problem. And I said, fine, but work on this too. Because unless you get rid of the emotional baggage surrounding that illness, you will not be able to heal it completely. Think of cancer. How many times have we known someone who was treated for cancer and they're supposed to be healed, and then within months or like a few years, it's back again? So it's important that you're with cancer, you need to be working on the whole person. You need to be working on the emotions. And also, we need to be willing to change our lifestyle. And that's one thing.
You have a glyph for that.
Yeah, and that's hard, especially when you're dealing with old people. They don't want to give up meat and potatoes, and they don't want to eat raw foods. But eating wholesome food is very important if you want good health. And somehow we just get stuck in a rut that we have to have our sweets, and I love my chocolates. And I have to, I've learned, and this is, I do not bring cookies in the house. I do not bring cake in the house, and I do not buy ice cream. And that is a hard thing for some of us to change, because we have real weaknesses in that area.
Yeah,
And
do we have a glyph for like willingness to change?
right. As you remove more and more of these emotional issues, you learn to love yourself more. And when you love yourself more, you want to take care. This is our vehicle. You realize, and you realize you have a job to do. And that's the one thing about the weeds. A lot of people, they don't know why they're here. They don't know why they've come to the earth. And when I started this, I didn't have a clue. I had no clue whatsoever. I was just trying to take care of myself. But as you slowly peel away, like the layers of a big red onion, and you slowly peel away, all of a sudden it's just kind of the light goes on, and you start beginning to understand why you're here. Because right in the middle of that onion is a real you. And before you reincarnated here on the earth, you and your guides got together and you said, I'm going to go down the earth and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then we got down here and it's just, we don't know what we're doing here. And then we are so distracted. And that's one of the things about distraction. There's a lot of things that we feel that are so important: a fancy car, and a nice house, lots of nice furniture and beautiful clothes. And there's nothing wrong with all those things, but we need to make why we're here the priority. And as you release all this stuff, what you're here for becomes that priority in your life. I could never do anything but what I'm doing. I am married to my work. I will get these books out there to people to heal themselves, because that's why I came here. I know why I came here. I came here to do this job, and I'm going to do it. Get another little sip of. I get a tickle in my throat when I talk for a while.
So work on the emotional stuff
right.
first.
So
and that will help change the beliefs.
Yes, well, your beliefs, it will be easier after you're getting rid of this stuff. And one of the beliefs, one of the things we have to let go of, and we have to let go of the matrix. We were, ever since we're a kid, we get sick, go to the doctor, right? We go to the doctor. And no matter who you talk to, oh, well, my doctor says this, and my doctor says that. And we have to stop believing that other people know more than we do about ourselves. We have to stop letting people tell us how to run our lives, whether it is in the churches or our government or the medical establishment, you name it. We need to take back control. We need to take back control.
Well, we've just given our power away, right? We've kind of been conditioned to do that for so long. So it's, right. Yeah, it's just taking it back. Your doctor can be your partner, it doesn't have to be the end all be all.
Yeah. And if you've been, it's as Catholic, it was just the priest, he knows it all, and you go confess your sins. And then I think I was ready to give that up at 18. So I didn't need the glyphs to tell me that I'm in the wrong place. This isn't so I had a little dog that we adopted from the Humane Society, and she would get car sick every time we just go down the road. And so I tried writing a few glyphs on my own and emulating the frequency of Dramamine and whatever. And finally, I asked Source, I said, what can I do to heal this dog? And I was told that she had brain damage from starvation and dehydration as a puppy. And that we could heal that brain damage with a glyph. And then I was told, here's what exactly to do. And so we empowered it, and she was a little 30-pound little black short-haired dog. And I put it right on, in the books, there are pictures where to put for animals and people, where the chakras are. And so we put it on her little crown chakra. And when we did, she rolled her eyes, kind of like she could feel that doing something. So we've had it on her every night for 2 weeks, and she was about 90% better. And we put it on every night, and she didn't mind. She was fine with us taping that thing on her head before she went to bed. And after 2 more weeks, she never got sick again. And I realized, or was told, that we could heal the brain. And so I rewrote the glyph like a computer program. Look at this part of the brain. If this, then this. If this, then this. And that has been so successful. And so I put it in, this one is in my 3rd book, Symbols of the Dawn. And it was interesting experience. I was on, Lee Carroll interviewed me, and I was overwhelmed with so many orders that it just wiped out my book inventory for 2 of the books. And so as I reordered this, on the back of the book was $34.95. And so my graphic designer, my son, Patrick Carlson, he tweaked a couple of things where we caught a little misspelling or something. And then when I looked at the proof, it said $34.99, and it said $28.95. And I said, the only person who could change it was a graphic designer. I said, Patrick, did you change the price on this book? And he said, I would never do that, he said. And so I did a session with Source, and I said, this is strange. The price was changed on this book to $28.95. And then he said, you need to lower the price of this book, because people need to have this book, because this has the glyph to heal the damaged brain. And this is so instrumental in healing dementia, Alzheimer's, stroke, seizures, all of these different things that affect the brain. And seizures are a tough one. If you ever had a dog or a person with seizures, they don't have the answer, and they give you prescription drugs that really can have terrible side effects. And so this one woman, she had a 2-year-old half bulldog, half pit dog, and pit bull, and it had 2 years old, and it was having seizures. And they go to the vet, and you can drop 100 or 200 at a vet real easy. And she got a prescription for the dog, and she looked it up, and she said, I do not want to give this to my dog. So she contacted me, and I said, here's what you need to do. And this is true with a lot of issues like dementia, is first of all, you need to remove the vaccinations. All vaccinations that are you may have to eliminate that word, all of these things that are injected into the body.
Oh, for animals and people, because of the different toxins and chemicals that are harmful to the body.
Well, mercury, aluminum, and aluminum's a bad one, and formaldehyde. And formaldehyde is a leading cause of leukemia, and yet it's in children's vaccinations. And look how common leukemia is now. And so where was I going with that? Remove the vaccinations. There's a glyph in the 2nd book to remove vaccinations. Then you put a glyph up there to remove the toxic matter in the brain. Then you put the glyph, or at the same time maybe, to heal the damaged brain, because all of this stuff, like aluminum and mercury, it damages the body. And then use the glyph for neurological healing. And then for humans, there's two glyphs that will remove plaque from the arteries, and that is the circulation glyph and the glyph for the heart. And when I put that glyph for circulation on the back of my neck, I could feel it clearing out these arteries in the side of the neck. And that's one of the causes of like dementia and stuff, is a lack of oxygen getting to the brain. Once these are clogged with plaque, the brain is not getting enough oxygen. And that's another reason, a cause of memory problems. So frequently, older people will have memory problems, and all of those things.
You know what I've been hearing is that, I don't know if it's dementia or Alzheimer's, one of them, that now they're really considering that like another form of diabetes.
Mm.
So I don't know if that's, should you have a glyph for you need to have the no more sugar glyph, or I don't know, balancing sugar. I know you have a thing for balancing blood sugar, I think.
I think there might be one in there. I've got over 130 glyphs, so it's I think the thing we just need to understand though is like myself, I still like sweets, and I can't give, I'm okay at home, but when I go to a covered dish, homemade desserts are just too good to pass up. I can't. I'm bad there too. But again, like I said, is you love yourself more, and I realize I've got a job to do, and I need to take care of myself, or I'm not going to be able to do that job. And one other thing is exercise. I had dogs, and after my dogs passed, before I walked them twice a day. Well, when they were gone, I don't need to go for that walk. Well, that sure told on me real quick. We need to keep exercising. We need to stay in shape. Diet.
Do we have a glyph for exercise?
I just have to get out there and go for a walk. I mean, and I'm told sometimes what exercises to do. Yeah, it's just when you've got a job to do and you realize you have to take care of yourself. That's important. Sometimes I think people don't try very much with weight and things because they don't care. But once you find out that, hey, you've got an important job to do, you have a different attitude. It really changes the attitude. Really does. And loving yourself more, really.
So you had an important, yeah, definitely need the self-love glyph. So I heard you talk about your animals. So these glyphs work for animals, but they also, you have certain glyphs that will work in your garden, right? And
yes, I put some of those in the a good one is that I have a Japanese honeysuckle. And a few years ago, I was just decimated with aphids. Oh, just decimated. And that kills me because the hummingbirds really love those honeysuckles. And so the next year, I have a glyph there for aphids, and I just took a whole page of it, and I put it in a plastic bag, and I put it on the plant with a clothespin. And that since then, I've got one out there now. I have not had any problem with aphids on that plant. And every year I need a new page because the sun it gets torn up out there.
Okay, but we can put these in our gardens.
Right. And I have a lot of different ones, but I think there's a whole lot of room for doing more. There's a whole lot. It's one of the things I see in my mind as we get something built up on that other land for the children is like we'd have gardens and an orchard, and we would work on researching how we can naturally keep insects away from the plants using spiritual methods. So anyway, that I finally I got, you'd think I'd be done after 3 books, but there's things that came out in the second, in the third, the fourth one that like when I wrote the first book, I never heard of nanotechnology. I mean, and I was told nanotechnology is an insidious thing, and there's a glyph to remove nanotechnology. And then there's some things that I missed with the first book, like some friend and one of the women in Canada who bought the books, and she said, "How about a glyph to remove trauma?" And so I thought, okay, and immediately I was given an image of an eagle feather with blood on it. And so we wrote that glyph, and when I used it, I could feel stuff coming out of me again, just like before, because we've all been through trauma. We have all been through a lot of trauma.
And did you put that in your fourth book?
That's in the fourth book. There's 34. There's a lot of there's no duplication here. The only thing we do have a different detox one. The first one I have a regular detox glyph for, then I had a second one that will remove gallstones and kidney stones. So I did a second one for that.
Very helpful. I don't know if we veered off track from your changing beliefs or not,
Yeah.
but
Right. Yeah. The beliefs is letting go. Like we've been indoctrinated. We literally have been indoctrinated by the Matrix. Is to believe in a lot of stuff that, and of course, years ago we thought our government was taking care of us. Now we found out better. I mean, that was one belief of, but there's still a lot of people who believe that. There's still a lot of and they say, oh, you don't want to cheat on your income taxes, and hell, yes, I would. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pay these congressmen. I mean, my God, they they don't care anything about us. I don't want to pay for wars. So all of a sudden you realize, and I feel like I'm creating my own reality, and I'm going to create it the way I want. Now we found out the Internal Revenue was never legal to begin with, so neither is the Federal Reserve. So all those things, those are things we believed in. But when it comes to belief too, we know. I mean, and I never tried this, but I hear about people doing this fire walking. It wouldn't be my choice, but people do it. And I know one time I picked up something that was hot, and it didn't affect me by my own belief, but I wasn't able to duplicate it. Just like with the spoon bending. I'm sure a lot of people have tried the spoon bending, but I don't have any old silverware to test that out. So but we have tremendous power. What I do to kind of help overcome this. And I was told rituals are important. And I thought, oh, I was a Catholic and I don't like rituals. And I belonged to a Japanese healing group, and I didn't like rituals there either. But now every morning I have a ritual. I raise my arms and I say, I am divine. I have the power of God. I am unlimited. I am youthing. I mean, this idea, we do not need to age. It's a belief that has been programmed into us, and that's a belief we need to let go. We have been programmed to believe that everybody's going to get old and they're going to get sick and they're going to die. And then after 40, patch, patch, patch. This has been programmed into the very cells of our body. And we are the only ones who can change that programming. And it's not always easy to do, because you think of yourself that, okay, now I was told if I see myself as young, I will be. And that's easier said than done. But I have pictures of myself years ago, and I just try to focus on that and not worry about it, and let go of those numbers. Those numbers are only important when you're getting your driver's license or Social Security. Other than that, they are meaningless. Your brain doesn't care how many years old you are. It does not care at all. And there's no reason our body should break down if we take care of it. And that's part of it too, about the exercise. You can't convince yourself that you're getting younger if you're going to sit on the couch and eat popcorn every night and watch TV. And so you have to tell your body in more ways than they're not going to believe you. Your cells of your body, you are the orchestra conductor, and every cell in your body is the orchestra, and it will play whatever tune you not only tell it, but you show it.
So choose your music wisely.
You choose your music wisely. And then I found out I have hay fever, or I had hay fever. And I would use a glyph for my allergies, and I would continually be taping the glyph on, and that's tedious. We're using the same glyph all the time. So I thought, well, I wonder if I can put it on a bottle of water. And so I went ahead and put the glyph on the bottle of water. And then if any of you use homeopathics, you know, you succuss. This is an energy frequency energy, and I succuss it and I use it. If it's a dropper bottle, then I use a dropper full. I don't have to measure it out, and I don't douse it. I just use it, whatever comes out of the bottle.
Okay,
and
so
it worked.
Couple questions. Would you put the glyph facing the inside of the bottle, or is it okay to just have it on the outside like a regular label?
I put it the energy, like when using the glyphs, the energy will go through either way.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter. And I did have some facing the bottle, but then later on, you don't remember what they are. And so just like when I'm using on a surrogate, I put it, I need to know what it is later on. I have many surrogates that I use for other people. And then there's one, and so I've got other ones on here for the heart. I really feel the one for the heart is working. I can't, is this still in exploratory time, you know? Will it work for every time? And then there's one for vertebrae. Sometimes we'll have a problem with my neck, and this one is for vertebrae. And I think this works with this too, for the vertebrae.
That's great. Now, I guess under the same principle, you could have a glyph and stick a glass of water on it and kind of program the water like that, right?
Yeah, a lot of people put their glass on top of a glyph. There is one glyph to purify water too. It's called sacred water, and that is really powerful. It would even clear out the from the, like in Japan where we had that
the nuclear reaction leak.
Right. The what's leaking into the water, it can clear that out too. And for a good example of how powerful it is, I have a pond. I have a fair-sized pond there, and I was getting ready to go on vacation for a couple of weeks, and I walked down to the pond. The next day I was going, and I looked, and there was algae growing. There were dead salamanders, and I thought, oh my God. I thought, here I'm leaving the next day, and someone had taken that glyph to purify water, and they had, as a gift, mailed me some coasters. 3 of them were made out of stone, and 3 were some type of plastic. I took one of the ones that was made out of stone, and I put it in the pond. I came back 2 weeks later, and the pond was beautifully clear. No more dead salamanders.
Wow.
And of course, as the water is going out of the pond, coming in and going out, it's going out into the streams and so forth, right? And
now, what book is that? The Sacred Water in?
I think that's in the 3rd book.
Okay.
I believe. I'd have to check, either Sacred Symbols of Life or Symbols of the Dawn. I would have to look that up to make sure.
That sounds like a really powerful glyph
Right.
to be having.
I have some that I have going on the back of my tub. I have a tiled area and I have several bottles on the glyphs, and I put some in my bath water, or I drink it too. I drink it, you know.
Hmm. Now, you talked about surrogate. So, is that just like having someone's name, kind of like a homeopathic
Um,
type
right.
thing?
Now, this is a serious surrogate if you're working on somebody. I mean, several glyphs for the heart, lungs, or something like that. But there's also a glyph in the in this book. It's number 50, called Reaching Out. And this glyph, what you do with it, all right, wait 1 minute. I take these little yellow sticky pads. Here's the glyph right here. It's called Reaching Out. And you take I have a whole, a couple whole pages up there. Reaching Out. And this is how you can help a whole bunch of people at one time. All right. So I take a page of the 16 and I get the real small little yellow sticky pads that are just that big. And you write the name of the person, and I put the date, the name of the person and the date. And I've got my neighbors on there. I have President Trump on one of these. I have he's got issues too, let's face it, you know. And every night while they're sleeping. Now, first of all, when you do this, you always make a statement, or even with dowsing or whatever, with permission from the soul of the person. You can't go messing with somebody without permission from the soul. You don't have to get permission from them, because we think we're in charge, but our soul is really the boss. Okay.
Okay. And so
So I
you
put
write their name on
their name and I put the date on there.
the
And then
date that you're
state
doing it.
you state your intention with your belief in your power. You said, I intend for the programming, whatever of this glyph. If there's a way in there, it tells you what to say, but and you send that energy to that person. And every night it will remove a layer of fear one night, next night, while they're sleeping, a layer of sadness. It's very subtle, but it gradually is working on them. And then after it works for 8 weeks, and then after 8 weeks, you just talk to the glyph and you tell it, let's start this all over for Joe Blow. And I've got my neighbors on there, I've got my kids on there. And I can see the difference after repeated using of that glyph on people. And almost always, I never
Okay,
get,
so just to recap,
right,
we use the reaching out, we put
right.
the person's name on there and the date,
Okay,
and
then you
then we
watch the
state
date.
our
Right, you state your intention.
intention.
Then
So I
after,
don't have to put an additional glyph on there.
no, then,
Just the
well,
intention.
you could add, I do to some of them, I do add number 70, which is um higher consciousness,
Hmm.
right? And then after the 8 weeks is up, then you go ahead and say, okay, let's tell the glyph, okay, let's start this over for Joe Blow. And then you cross the old date out and you put the new date.
Okay.
And so I've worked on a lot of people with that.
So it's kind of like a very powerful prayer for that individual. Can you
It's
do it for places?
places.
Places, countries, cities,
You can do anything
a
you want.
specific address.
No reason why not. You know, what I tell, there is no wrong way to use the glyphs.
Hmm.
There's no wrong way to use the glyphs. So,
So yeah, what kind of occurs to me is, you know, putting that part of the world that is having extreme conflict at this moment and stating our intention for peace or peaceful resolution or whatever the highest possible outcome.
There's, like I said, there's no wrong way to use it, and just state that intention and what you state. I mean, you've got the power, whatever you can send out there with your power, because your intention is where it's all at. The glyph has it tells, yeah, now the glyph is designed to remove the layer of fear and sadness. Will it work on a whole bunch of people at a time? Why not? I don't, there's no way I can't say yes or no. It sounds like a good idea to me. Got nothing to lose there. Yeah.
Right.
The use of the glyphs, I said, and if you're trying to use a glyph and it's not something you need, the worst that can happen is nothing.
Right. There's a question for the reaching out glyph. Do you do it nightly for 8 weeks, or it is programmed to work on its own for 8 weeks?
No, it works. It will work at night, removing that, and that will go on for 8 weeks. One night it'll be remove a layer of fear. The next night it's just programmed to work while they're sleeping.
Okay, so it works once you state your intention. It works for 8 weeks, and then at the end of 8 weeks, if you want to run it again or adjust the program, you change the date and you can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
Right. So then I've also got cards. They're kind of nice to shuffle, and then you pick one from the and this, I love this. This is, I got that for the children. I think this is really, these are removable tattoos, and these are for the emotional healing ones, because I think kids are receptive to the idea of these temporary tattoos more than they would be taping a piece of paper on them. and they're just for the emotional, because there's a lot of kids with fear and anger issues, and children fighting amongst themselves is fear, that mommy loves the other one better, or or just the anger, and so that's been real successful.
I think those sound
grandkids.
fun, not just for kids.
Yeah. Oh, I've tried them, and then I find they're very helpful. Yeah, I like them. Right.
There is a question in the chat. What glyph in which book can she use for her sister who's having chemotherapy? I guess technically as a dowser you can dowse and see what comes up, but what do you recommend, Dr. Jean?
It's hard to say. If you put on the glyph for detox, it will pull out part of that chemotherapy. Is that good or bad? That's the only time people say, is there anything it could cause a problem? And that is one way that it just might, if you're taking a medication, and chemotherapy is another medication, and there's something that the glyph finds is toxic to your body, it will pull that out. So you have to look at that. Is that good or bad? Is that good or bad? And that's why we need to understand prescription drugs are, for the most part, are really not good for us. But many people are taking them, and they've been taking them for a while, and they can't just quit. And
so she has pancreatic cancer. So
right.
Would the pancreas glyph be helpful?
Certainly. Oh, certainly. Yeah. But the parasite glyph, I would take, there's a lot of theory now that at the basis of cancer is a parasite. And so what I would do is I would put the parasite glyph, the one to remove parasites, on one of these bottles of water and use it regularly. That's what I would do.
good
I
idea for everybody.
I
Well,
would
that
use,
was your first glyph you got, was the parasite. So yeah, and that's your glyphs are a much less invasive process to remove parasites.
right,
I
and
know.
they transition the die off of anything like candida. They transition rather, because die off can be a problem if you're trying to remove something like that. But here the die off is transitioned.
Would don't you have a glyph for increasing your immune system? Do you think that might be?
Well, as removing any parasites and toxic matter from your body, that is automatically. I mean, one of the problems with these things we get in our arm
Mhm.
is that it damages the immune system. So then when you remove that, and it not is only not is it's not only programmed to remove this, it's also heals it is programmed to heal the damage that this has caused.
Mhm.
So when this thing was going on a couple years ago, I put on my Facebook page, or for anybody would listen, all the glyphs you need to do to remove any toxic matters you're getting injected.
The first book you have is the one that addresses the emotional
Right, right.
concerns.
That's so important.
And what is that book called?
Unlocking the power of glyphs. So I
Okay.
tell people, uh, start with that one. Start with that one.
That's great. The Do we have other questions? Do we have other have you found specific glyphs that help other than fear, that can help to change beliefs?
Beliefs. Well, let's think of what beliefs we want to change. One of the things as we let go of a lot of this is believing in our power. You know, we've been programmed to believe we're powerless, and now we're, you know, and I was talking to somebody at the Unitarian Church that called me, and and she said, I said, I don't know. I told her I don't know. We were talking, and I said, I don't have a television. She says, well, you have to watch the news. And I thought, and this is letting go of the beliefs that there's something that we have to listen to. And what I tell people is, if you have to have that television because you want to see your favorite program, go ahead and see your favorite program, mute it during the ads, and then afterward, turn that thing off and unplug it. That one of the things we believe is this stuff is safe to have in the house. We would be better off the electronics devices we have, and that we're not ready to give them up. But they're not good for us. I don't use my cell phone at all. I do have one. I love the GPS. I couldn't travel without it, but I don't use it. I don't keep it around me. I wouldn't have it in my bedroom.
So that kind of leads me to two questions. Is there a specific belief for embracing your personal power?
Well, like I say, I have this thing, my ritual I go through but as far as a belief, again, as you let go of a lot of the stuff we're holding, I just to me, I feel more powerful than I've ever felt in my life. And I'm just, and just being, when we bought, my husband and I bought this place, I'm up on a mountain, living alone. I've got over 100 acres of land here. And I could never have been here years ago. You believe, you lose this fear of something's going to happen, and you feel protected. You literally feel protected. And so one of the things we have to let go of is that something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. If you believe in the divinity of yourself and your connection to God, and know we are a part of the divine, we are all a part of the divine, that it's difficult to explain, because now I'm up here by myself and I'm not afraid. Now, I don't go out walking at night. There are snakes out there, and there's bears out there, so I don't. But that's just wisdom, common sense.
Yeah, well, so I know you have a lot of glyphs that deal with abundance and prosperity, and so I guess do the emotional ones, make sure you've got your fear, and then you can add in. And I guess as dowsers, we can dowse and see kind of what combinations we have.
Right. Now, the one for abundance, it does work, but it works better once you let go of some. One of the biggest obstacles to abundance is fear.
Mhm.
You know, when you're afraid you can't pay the rent or pay your mortgage, that you can't, and we create our own reality with our thoughts and everything we say, as we're continually programming as we speak. And that's a thing to understand too, because I hear so many people say, well, I'm struggling right now. Well, if you say you're struggling, and that's one of the things you have to let go of, is that you can't talk and think freely about this negative things in your life. You have to work on the positivity. You have to talk like it's already here. I mean, and I have no problem attracting money at all. I mean, but although we're working with, I've been supporting these children in Peru and in Nepal for years. And I have no doubt that what the land that we have, sometime there's going to be the children's center up there. And that's why I take care of myself, because it's going to happen. Somebody's going to make it happen, and that's me. That's me. You have to just believe in your power, and let go of the idea. I mean, people say, well, I'm too old. And I just told them down in Georgia, you are never too old. You are never too old to come into whatever you came here to do. Never.
Right. Right. So we have more questions. Which book has the teeth alignment and the dental issues?
The teeth alignment, say that again.
Which book has about the teeth?
There's one for the abscess. I think that's in the second book, Sacred Symbols of Light. The one, the third book has one for dental issues, and it's slow. It's slow for dental issues. I have to admit that, because of the density, like people say, how long does it take? And just look at the body. The nerves heal faster. There's one in the first book to heal damaged nerve bundles. And you take that, the first time I used it, I put it on my third eye, and I thought, holy cow, it just whoosh. It was just, I tell people, be next to the bed or a chair when you use it, but it only takes a matter of minutes. Nerves heal fast.
That's the nerves.
Yes, you're right.
Now, does everybody need typically the nerve bundle?
Everybody should use that glyph. You all have damaged nerves.
Okay.
You all have damaged nerves. So there's about 3 or 4 glyphs in all of the books for healing nerves. There's different parts of the nervous system that for healing. The neurological healing, and that's an important one. So there's a lot of glyphs that I think everybody should use. And like the glyphs for malignancy, I tell women, go ahead and put a strip of 4 of them in your bra, along with the glyph for the lymphatic system, and wear that for a couple days as prevention. One of the glyphs can be used as prevention as well. Like, and I tell the men should take that glyph for malignancy and put it on their sacral chakra, because prostate cancer is almost epidemic. There's so many men who get prostate cancer. And the same is true for, and even the women put it on there because ovarian cancer is also common. And uterine cancer. There's cancer. There's such cancer going on right now. And let's face it, this is part of the matrix here. They're controlling they're putting all this stuff in the food. I tell people, get local grown. I go every Saturday morning to where I buy food from the local growers that I can get organic food. No,
Yeah, so the one that has the nanoparticles, we can put that in our oh, I know what I was going to ask you. So we can use the nanoparticle one for food, for water, for
right
on our body, right? Because I think we've been tested.
When I used it, I felt something happening with that. So they get it into us. But when I worked for the government, we'd go back in the back room and get our shot every year. And now I find out there's stuff in those shots, the yearly shots, that I was a military wife too, so I got my share.
Well, it sounds like you have a glyph for that helps people to detox from that. Is that something they need to do ongoing? I guess, are you doused to see how long you need it? What do you
Well, I would use it a couple times. It's hard to say how long something is taking. Like I say, the nerves heal fastest, and tissues after that. But when I just I put that glyph on the back of my neck, and I could feel that stuff going on, and that didn't take long at all. So it's hard to say. If you're trying to heal something, the longer you've had it. Like I healed my son, he had a West Highland Terrier, and he was about 12 years old. And I went over there to visit, and they said he had lost his hearing. And they said it had been about 3 months that they had noticed that. So I put a glyph on a teddy bear that I found up in the bedroom there, under the ear for his hearing. And just that evening, I went down and I said, Daisy, you want to go for a walk? And she jumped up and she was ready to go. That quick. But then she'd only been.
Wow. So you use the bear as a surrogate.
Right. But if she'd had a hearing problem for many years, would it have had her work so quickly? I don't know. I'm not sure.
What about EMS? Do you have a glyph?
Yes. There is one in the second book. And going back to prevention, the glyph for the heart, I encourage people to put that glyph on the back of their heart chakra, because it could prevent heart problems. If it can clear out the plaque in the heart, in the arteries, we wouldn't have to deal with all these operations. I mean, what they do is barbaric for heart problems.
So the heart glyph, like what? Put it almost like lay down on it, put it on your back heart.
Yeah. Sometimes what I do actually is, since if you've got somebody who can do it, if you've got a spouse, but not having that, I just take the half page and I tuck it under a bra, and I put it up where I'm having to guess where my heart chakra is from, and if you've got any cleavage at all, trying to wear it on your front of your heart chakra is almost impossible. It just gets squished up. It gets squished up.
Yeah. Or you can create, I guess, a witness for yourself. You could put yourself on that piece of paper with the glyph, right?
Yeah,
Or a
right.
picture of yourself.
Yeah, you can do and put a surrogate for yourself. Right.
Mhm.
So
We have a couple questions. So teeth are dense and take longer than nerves. Yes, I think you said that.
gosh, yes. Yeah, the teeth are, and that has been a difficult one, and I've changed it many times trying to make it more powerful. But in our third degree reality here, the dental material is difficult to work with. And I can tell it's working. I can feel it working, but on the other hand, I have cracks in my teeth. They have not resolved yet. I keep working on it, and again, we can get in our own way. We're talking about if you, I was told, believe that it's working. Okay, so your mind is also working. We have the ability to heal that ourselves. And so if we just add our intention and let go, one of the biggest obstacles to the glyphs working is skepticism, judgment, expectations. All of this put out an energy, any thought we have, and it's hard not to have judgment. It's some people, they say, oh, I know this is going to work, and they have great success. Other people are more doubtful. It's going to take more time, and it can actually, skepticism can actually put out an energy that this, well, see, I told you it wouldn't work, I mean, it can literally put out a layer of energy and will stop any energy medicine, because our minds are so powerful. Either
All right,
positive.
as dowsers, we need to clear the negativity and the doubt, or neutralize it, and then get to work with the glyphs.
Right.
So, a question about the card deck. Someone wants to know, are they for the emotional glyphs, or are they all the glyphs are in your card deck?
No, there's 72, and what I picked out are the ones that would be the most useful if you were going to shuffle them and pick one out. I didn't bother with one, like there's a glyph for insect bite. That really works great if you get a wasp or a yellow jacket, which they can be really nasty. If you get it on there real quick, it works great. But I didn't put it in there because when you get an insect bite, you can get a glyph from the book. So the cards are not meant to be a substitute for purchasing the book, because you couldn't, if you're going to use them to put, to heal, to in your bra, putting them in the cards. Some people complained that the cards got all tore up when they taped them to the body, and I thought, these are nice cards. They are not meant to tape to your body. And one woman, she shoves them in her bra, and and they were all bent up and everything. And when the glyphs get damaged, they will not work.
Okay.
So we take the glyph and we use it, and when we're finished with it, we tear it in half and throw it away. Now I do keep a fishing tackle box where I save some I get a high quality paper to print them, or paper that resists moisture. Then I just put them in there and I save it if they're in good condition, so I don't have to be cutting some out. But once they get damaged, tear them in half and throw them away.
Okay. So now you've got your 4 books that are available on your website, but you also have the digital books, right?
I just had put the digital ones on sale for $99, and I'm going to put
Is
it
that
on
for all 4 of them?
all 4 of them. $99
Okay.
for all 4 of them, right? And I lowered the price of the printed ones somewhat, but there is a cost involved there, so I can't go down too low for that.
Sure. So people can download the digital books immediately and then print what they need
Right,
as
but
they
they're
need it.
nice. They're very nice that way because you can print them out. Yeah, you're right. What I tell people, okay, after you get the digital ones, first of all, print out your table of contents and get yourself a binder and put that in a binder and spend some time looking at what's in the books because to help you understand just how much there is. And that way you'll know as when an issue comes up, you will get more ideas on what to do. You know, sometimes people say, well, have you got a glyph for your in there for the eyes? And they got the books. I said, look, please look in the table of contents. Now,
Yeah, and
I wanted to go back to the breast one. When I did that, I put the glyphs on in my bra, and I had a lump in my breast, and I could feel it working on that, and the energy went all the way down my arm. And I used it several nights in a row. Now, I don't know if there was anything there that was serious because I don't go to doctors. I quit when I had an accident years ago, I went for a chest x-ray because it broke my clavicle, the seatbelt. But I do not go for tests. I don't go for mammograms. And that's one of the things we've got to let go of, that belief that some of that stuff is really more harm than that we need that. You know, the medical, if you got insurance, and I still have insurance, I'm not going to give up the insurance. But I would never go for a mammogram. And these are the beliefs you have to let go of, that you need to have that test. I don't even go to get blood tests. My insurance will pay for a physical, but I'm not would never have anything invasive done. But I asked once, I said, do I have any deficiencies, you know, of any kind? And I was told, yes, you have a deficiency in apples. And I said, I have a deficiency in apples? And I got, yes, eat 2 apples a day. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And I'm often told what to eat. I need to eat more celery, eat lots of dark leafy greens. And I know a lot of people, especially men, they don't like the greens or salads, you know, they want meat and potatoes, but that's what I'm getting, is that if you had one thing that would keep you alive, it would probably be, and you could only get one thing, it would probably be greens, dark leafy.
well, and in a perfect world, right? It's food that heals the body, and I think it's food that makes us sick. It's
Right.
you know
Well,
what we're ingesting.
right. And not only that, but we have the power. Now, when for my food, I say a prayer. I say, I bless this, I consecrate it, I intend it for my highest good, and I transition anything toxic into light. That we have that power, that you can transition toxic matter. If you went to a restaurant and you said that, and somehow some food was bad and everybody got food poisoning, if you said that and meant it sincerely, you would not get sick. And that's a belief you got to let go, is that something, you know, is going to affect you like that. And then
I have exactly had that situation.
right. And I talk to my body and I say, Trent, take what you are given and convert it to what you need, because we actually have the power to convert food that we ingest into whatever we need. Now, that doesn't mean we should go out and eat chocolate cake all day. Although if we had the power, it could change that. It can literally change it. And then we've been programmed to believe our body can't create vitamin B12. And if you believe that, then they can't. because your body will do what you tell it to do. And so if you believe that you can, your body will create anything it needs, then you don't need to run out and get vitamin B12. Those are other things that beliefs that we can let go of.
Wow. It's almost interesting what the belief versus a glyph. It made me think, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to have a glyph that allowed you to assimilate all the vitamins and nutrients from your food? But I guess the blessing really kind of
there is
handles that.
The glyph, yeah, there's a glyph though, and the fourth one for nutritional type thing. Similar to what's his name that has a scalar energy stuff that
Okay.
Right.
So.
But the whole thing is we want to, just like supplements, do we need supplements? And myself, I was coming from when I was working for the government, I would have coffee and donuts for breakfast. And then everybody would go out to lunch, but I didn't go. I would have leftover donuts and coffee because I was saving to pay off my house. So I really did a number on myself by eating a poor diet years ago when I didn't know any better. And so I feel like if you need supplements, and you kind of ask your body, do I need this? But continue to work on telling your body that to create what it needs.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jean. This has been great. I think we could keep going. We may have to do this another time.
Right.
But it's wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank everybody who tuned in, and we'll send out the replay. So just so everybody knows that it's drjeanlogan.com is where they can contact you and get your books. Now, do you do sessions, Dr. Jean?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do consultations.
You want to describe what that's like?
It will be whatever they want it to be, whatever works out best for them. What glyphs to use. And sometimes it's, and things will come out, and that, like one man, he said he felt really bad because his father treated him very bad. And his father was dead now, and he often wondered, did his father love him? And after we talked and we hung up the phone, his father came through to me and he said, please tell my son I didn't know how to be a father and that I do love him very much. And I called the man back, and that made such a difference. He was just so happy to hear that, because he wondered that he felt his father didn't love him. And now that doesn't happen often, but very often I will get messages after I talk to a person. So it can be anything, and a lot of it depends upon how open they are to what they're looking for.
Oh, well, that's great. Yeah. So if you want a session with Dr. Jean, you can reach out to her on her website. And thank you all for joining in, and please share this, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much, Dr. Jean.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you, and many blessings to all of you.